Binding of Isaac. Isaac is one of our three patriarchs, son of Abraham and Sarah and the father of Jacob. Yitzchak. Sarah and Abraham were advanced in age. When Sarah overheard three messengers of God promise Abraham a son, she laughed.
ויהי אחר הדברים האלה, והאלוהים נישא את אברהם. ויאמר אליו אברהם, ויאמר הנני, ויאמר קח נא את בנך, את יחידך אשר אהבת, את יצחק, ולך לך אל ארץ המוריה, והעלהו שם לעולה, על אחד הערים, אשר אומר אליך.
Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Then God said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. He took with him two of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God told him about. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance.
ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים, והיה שא לעולה.
Isaac spoke up and said to his father, Abraham. Father? Yes, my son? Abraham replied. The fire and the wood are here, Isaac said, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham answered, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And the two of them went on together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son.
ויקרא אליו מלאך אדוני מן השמיים, ויאמר אברהם, אברהם, ויאמר הנני.
But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham, here I am, he replied.
ויאמר אל תשלח ידך אל הנער, ואל תעש לו מאומה.
Do not lay a hand on the boy, he said, do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. Abraham looked up, and there in the thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So, how is it related to Rosh Hashanah? Good thing you asked. The answer. On the second day of Rosh Hashanah, the Torah reading tells the story of the binding of Isaac in which a ram is sacrificed. The Talmud tells us that in order for a horn to be valid for Rosh Hashanah blowing, it needs to be a shofar. Well, what is that? There are two general types of animal horns. Horns which consist of a sheath of keratin, and horns or antlers that are made of solid material. Sheep, goats, and others have horns which consist of a sheath of keratin, that stuff that fingernails are made of, covering a bony core. This inner core can be easily removed, and you are then left with a keratin sheath, which forms a naturally hollow structure that can be used to blow musical notes. Solid material. Other animals have horns or antlers that are made of solid material. The most common shofar is made from the horn of a ram, a male sheep. The very long curvy shofars are made from the horn of the kudu, a type of antelope found in southern and eastern Africa. Remember the ram from the story? The ram's horn recalls the binding of Isaac, when Abraham was ready to sacrifice his only son, stopping only when an angel showed him a ram whose horns were entangled in the nearby thicket. Over the course of time, other meanings were ascribed to the symbol of the shofar. The most important is the connection made between the horn of a new year and the horn of a ram in the story of the binding of Isaac. The Midrash is a biblical explanation or interpretation given by ancient Judaic authorities. According to the Midrash, God instructed Abraham that whenever his children were in danger of punishment because of sin, they were to blow the shofar, the horn of the ram caught in the thicket. The act would remind God, as it were, of the merits earned by the binding of Isaac, and the people would therefore be forgiven. The biblical idea of remembrance is thus enhanced with another meaning. God recalls the merit of Isaac and so redeems us from punishment for sin. The blowing of the shofar, then, serves to signify not only the coronation of God, but a means of arousing God to mercy. Discussion questions. What do you think Isaac was thinking? A reminder, at one point Isaac asked his father, "The fire and the wood are here." Isaac said, "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" What was Abraham thinking? How could God ask for a human sacrifice? How can God change his mind? First, he tells Abraham to bring his son as a sacrifice, then he tells him not to. Isn't it considered objectively very bad to kill one's own son, no matter how much they believe that God wants them to do that? Was Abraham really in the right going to sacrifice Isaac? Was it a test? For whom? Did Abraham fail the test? If it was a test and Abraham failed, was it okay to give him a test knowing he will fail? The story in the art. Interesting things to look for. What is the name of the picture? Who is in the picture? Can you see the faces? What are the facial expressions? Comments? Anything to add? Questions?